Okay, so today we are going to talk about television by Roald Dahl. Tell me one thing, how much will you watch TV? Study, read books, study, exams ahead. Now you tell me, how many times have you heard all these things? Uncountable. Yes, the answer is uncountable times. So in today's videos I am going to talk about, or rather discuss about, Roald Dahl's television and how he talks about the ill effects of television and the usefulness of books or reading books. You see, when this poem was written around 1960s, at that time the watching of television was an enormous trend, which has, you can now safely conclude, it has shifted to mobile phones and the social media. So the mobile phone, social media, your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you name it, and all these things have indeed replaced just the television as a set. So this is one of the most relevant poems of our times. It takes a comic look at serious problem among young children today. It warns us about the dangers of watching television excessively, because it robs our minds of the power of imagination and creativity. We depend so much on these electronic gadgets that most of the time we forget to switch to the physical access to books. Our physical capabilities, our powers of imagination, because we tend to believe it blindly on what it feeds us. Whatever news we get it, we eat that, literally eat that, we swallow it, we don't analyze it much. That is problematic, and through this poem you will be able to understand the critical position that we are in. This poem, once you read, though it is a 93-line poem, you may feel like, oh my god, how am I going to read it? But actually it is very simple, and once you see this video and you get it explained, it is as simple as cakewalk. Okay, so without wasting much time, let's start with the poem. And firstly, before I start, it is a huge poem that is written at one go. I've just tried breaking up into some paragraphs. Some are uneven, I mean stanzas, some are uneven, but I hope you will be able to understand them quite easily. Okay, so the speaker is addressing the reader from the third person, and as you read this poem along with me, you will be able to understand it clearly. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned is never let them near your television set, or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. So according to Roald Dahl, television is an idiotic thing. And you see that he has used never first in small, and then he has used it written never in capital letter, which means that he is stressing on the word that it should not be installed at all. And he calls television an idiotic thing. Why? That is explained throughout the poem. So one important thing that we, that is everyone, you, me, your parents, my parents, everyone should learn that TV should not be installed. Remember, don't use TV means the word T and V in your answer, write television. In almost every house we have watched them gaping at the screen. They loll and slop and lounge about and stare until their eyes pop out. Last week in someone's place, we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. Okay, so in the next part, he is telling that in almost house that we go, everyone is either staring at the television set, doing nothing. So they are literally gaping, they are staring at it open-eyed, open-mouthed. They are just drooling over the television sets without any sense, without any knowledge of what exactly they are doing. The same thing that is happening with mobile phones. Once now that your online classes are going on, most of the time after your online classes are going on, half of the time we are over the phone, either taking down materials or just for relaxation purposes, because we are not being able to go out to play or spend time with our friends outside our home. So the only way to entertain ourselves is either the television sets, the electronic media, your television or your mobile phones. So the same thing is happening here. You see, you will find yourself lolling and gaping at the screen of even the mobile phones. and stare until their eyes pop out. They stare at it so open-eyed, it seems as if the eyeballs are popping out. And here, literally, a hyperbole has been used here. A dozen eyeballs on the floor means literally eyeballs are just rolling on the floor because they have nothing in their eyes. What are they doing? They are simply gaping at the screen. So the eyes are not seeing. They are just swallowing the information right away without any capability to analyze, without any capability to do anything. So don't take it literally, because if you literally saw eyeballs rolling on the floor, then practically you would be fainting. So that is what the poet Roald Dahl here is telling, that they are just staring at it. What is the purpose? They are not gathering any information. They are only staring at the TV sets. Now let's see what he is telling next. Okay, now he is telling, they sit and stare and stare and sit until they are hypnotized by it, until they are absolutely drunk with all that shocking, ghastly junk. Oh yes, we know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the windowsill. So, you might be wondering that why I have not written the line by line explanation that I promised. Because there is nothing much to explain. It is all written so clearly that you will feel bored if I write it down once again, the same things. So there is no point. I don't want you to get bored. I want you to enjoy the poem. So come on, read along with me. They sit and stare and stare and sit. So that is the only function. They sit at the television set, staring at it, and while they are staring at it, they are sitting. So no physical activity until they are hypnotized by it. So they are in a trance-like state. They are not moving their eyes, they are not moving their body, they are hypnotized. What happens in hypnosis? You are in a different world altogether, isn't it? So that is the same thing that is happening here. Until they are absolutely drunk. They are drunk by the appearance of the TV sets and what is happening there. They are not in their right state of mind. And the poet continues to tell, with all that shocking, ghastly junk. So it is shocking. It means it's absolutely terrible to see them observing, watching, swallowing, staring at that junk, because TV set or the television set and whatever is going on in that television, whatever program is going on in that television, that is absolutely junk, means rubbish. They don't climb out the windowsill. Yes, that is true. It is keeping them still. They are staring at it by sitting and staring at it, as the poet tells. So that way what is happening, they are not being jumping out of the window sills. It is not engaging the parents to keep them still. So TV on, sit, make the children sit. Okay, fine. The parents can now do their work. So the same thing is expressed here by Roald Dahl also. They never fight or kick or punch. They leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. But did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tot? So now he is questioning the parents. So they here refers to the children. They never fight, kick or punch. Here they refers to the children. Yes, the children, once they are sitting in front of those junk television sets, watching the junk programs or doing whatever, just staring at it, doing nothing but just sitting, no physical activity, they are not fighting. Yes, they are not fighting with their siblings, they are not fighting with their parents, they are not kicking or punching, there is no amount of trouble. They leave you free to cook the lunch. Yes, they have left the parents to do their job at their own free will, cook lunch, wash dishes in the sink, because all these things requires a lot of concentration. If you are managing your children and trying to cook the lunch well, then either of them is going to end in disaster, right? So, but did you ever stop to think, to wonder just exactly what this does? So, okay, fine, you want to do your job, that's why you are making them sit in front of the television sets. But have you ever wondered what it is exactly or actually doing to the brains of the young children, to your kids, to your sons and your daughters? Have you ever wondered what they are doing? No. So, now he is telling that what it does. It rots the sense in the head. It kills imagination dead. So the point of putting it in caps or in the broad, written in broad and capital letter, is because he is telling that it rots the sense in the head. They become senseless, nonsense, without any feelings, because they are staring. What are they learning? Nothing. whether their parents are calling. You see this for yourself also. If you are too much engrossed with your with the television program or with your mobile phones, then you will see that no matter how many times your parents, your siblings, your whatever, whoever calls you, you are least interested, or you are so engrossed in it that you do not even hear. So it does not occur to you that you do not have that much of sense that you should respond. So it rots. It has become rotten. The sense has become rotten. It kills the imagination dead. Once you start writing anything, because any creative composition requires imagination. You stare at the television set and you eat what the television sets, that is the programs, feed you. So your imagination is lost. You do not have the power to think. You slowly lose it out. So the imagination is also dead. It clogs and clutters up the mind. The mind is also clogged and cluttered up. So the free flow of thoughts, the free flow of imagination, the free flow of creativity, that is all clogged up. That is all blocked by this stupid television set and its programs. It makes the child so dull and blind. Yes, dull because the child is not able to think. Blind because he or she does not see anything beyond the television set and the programs, beyond that dumb, stupid, idiotic junk thing. Okay, he or she does not think anything beyond that. And also blind can be taken in the literal sense, because too much of watching television on and on, over and over, hours and hours together, it can result in blindness, because it affects your eyes. And same thing goes for your mobile phones also, because the rays can really affect you for a longer period of time. It can lead to blindness. So ultimately your brain, it affects your physical structure, composition, everything altogether. He can no longer understand a fantasy, a fairyland. Okay, before I explain these two lines, I would like to tell that you see that in these two lines and also in the previous two lines, these lines are beginning with it. So the repetition of the it in the subsequent 4 lines is known as anaphora. Okay, this is a repetition. This is one figure of speech that Roald Dahl has used here. Now he can no longer understand a fantasy or fairyland. Yes, how will he understand a fantasy or fairyland? If I am talking to you about a fantasy, if I am talking to you about a story while you are watching the television, or you are just simply believing what the television sets or the television programs, whatever it is showing you and asking you to literally believe, then what is it? You are simply believing that. You are not listening to me. You are neither believing me. What will happen? Ultimately, it will hamper you. It will create, your imagination will be lost. Your creativity will be lost. See, all these lines are written in capital letters. It means that how much stress Roald Dahl is giving here. He is totally highlighting the ill effects of television. It should not be at any household at any cost. But I'll come to that later. Let me just finish this poem, then I'll come to that. His brain becomes as soft as cheese. So as soft as cheese here is used as a hyperbole. Means his brain becomes, because your brains are made up of neurons. Okay, they store the information, they transmit information, they enable you to act. So once it becomes as soft as cheese, what happens? I mean, don't think it literally, just imagining it, brain and cheese, oh my god. But anyway, it becomes as useless as cheese, because there is until and unless it is made up of neurons and it is working, your brain is useless. So the cheese, once it's melted, once it is soft, it is only fit for consumption. So your brain becomes useless, and it is only fit for just taking in that information that you are taking. It's fit for no other purpose. Neither are you fit for imagining stuffs, neither are you fit for performing any creative activity or possessing any sense. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. Yes, it is full of rust and it is freezing. Once you start to freeze some information, it will be there in your brain. It will not be subject to any kind of modification. Same thing goes for rust. It is slowly going to decay. It is slowly being subjected to degradation. So your imagination, your physical, mental capabilities are all slowly degrading once you start watching television over and over again. Again, I would like to repeat, the same goes for your watching of the television, not only television but also mobile phones, staring at the mobile screen. Replace it with mobile phones in the 21st century, in 2020. He cannot think, he only sees. So he is just staring at the screen, just as we got in the previous stanza. Sit and stare, stare and sit. What is he doing? Just staring at it. He is just seeing. He is not getting anything. He is not receptive. He is not receptive to any information. He is just staring at it. All right, you will cry. All right, you will say. So, but if we take the set away, what shall we do to entertain our darling children? Please explain. Now he is also, Roald Dahl is also explaining from the perspective of the parents, because the parents may tell, all right, you will cry, means the children will cry once the TV sets are taken away. All right, you will say, but if we take the set away, so they are telling, Roald Dahl is quoting as if their words, the parents' words, and he is telling that you may tell, all right, the children will cry. All right, what if we take the sets away? Then how are we going to entertain the children? How shall we, our children who are darling to us, who ask whatever they ask for us, we should at least try to give them. That is their belief, but that is not true, or that should not be the case always. So he is telling that maybe you will ask me to explain them, your source of entertainment for your children, what should it be, exactly should it be, instead of watching television, you may ask about it. Now he is coming to the important part. We'll answer this by asking you, what use the darling ones to do? How used they keep themselves contented before this monster was invented? So he is calling the television sets all sorts of names: junk, dumb, stupid, idiotic, something to hypnotize with, and now here he is referring to it as a monster, and telling that okay, fine, you are asking me, referring to the parents, Roald Dahl is telling, fine, you are asking me how you are going to entertain your children, how the children used to entertain themselves before this monster was invented. Before television was invented, how did the children entertain themselves? Have you ever wondered? Have you forgotten? Don't you know? We'll say it very loud and slow. So he is telling that probably, referring to the parents, Roald Dahl is telling that probably you have forgotten. You don't know. But okay, fine, never mind. We'll say it out loudly and slowly. They used to read. They'd read and read and read and read, and then proceed to read some more. Great Scott gadzooks! One half their lives was reading books. The nursery shelves held books galore. Books cluttered up the nursery floor. So he is telling slowly, as he promised in the previous lines, that they used to read. And before these television sets were invented, they went on reading on and on and on. They had these they had these books in their nursery, lots and lots of books in huge numbers, stacked up. Books cluttered up the nursery floor, where their nursery floors, when they were young children, beside their beds, everywhere they had books. They were all cluttered up because they used to read so much of books that it was strewn here and there. My goodness. And he is telling, he is expressing surprise that by these words, great Scots, gadzooks, oh my God, they used to read books in huge numbers. And in the bedroom, by the bed, now he is listing where all these books were found. In the bedroom, by the bed, more books were waiting to be read. So no matter how many books or how much books they were reading, whether it is in the nursery or wherever, in the bedroom, beside the bed, their books were all stacked up. They were all waiting to be read. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales of dragons, gypsies, queens, whales, and treasure isles and distant shores. So all these things are some topics that interested the young children. I'm sure while you were and you are as kids, you were drawn towards all these things. Very naturally, children are very easily, drawn towards these fantasies, adventures. Like you must have read about Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, and the Cinderella, Snow White, or how the good finally wins over the evil, and all these things. Though to on a separate note, though these tales now have separate meaning, once you grow up you will find it out. For example, if I can remember now, like, have you ever wondered why is Cinderella so fair? Cannot a dark lady be a Cinderella? Why has Cinderella to always be fair? Getting my point? And why does always the evil have to look black and not the white cannot look black in the nursery tales and the fairy tales and all? So but as children things are much simpler, and that's why the poet is telling that generally the children are drawn towards these kind of books, the books that talk about all these things, where smugglers rowed with muffled oars. So all these things where smugglers rowed with muffled oars, because stories of smugglers where they were oars, using the oars of the boat in slow and steady movement so that no one used to hear them, basically adventure stories. And pirates wearing purple pants and sailing ships and elephants and cannibals catching round the pot, stirring away at something hot. It smells so good, what can it be? Good gracious, it's Penelope. So these are all parts of the stories that children's stories that Roald Dahl is quoting from. Stories of pirates sailing ships, where then there are of witches and wizards cooking something, broiling something, up to something, some kind of concoction where some evil might happen, then the evil would be defeated and the good would finally win over. So all these things, and what is that good thing that is stirring in that pot? Maybe it is good gracious, it's about Penelope. So all these are different characters in the story who are creating, who are making, who simply seem to draw the interest and the attention of the children, unlike that stupid idiotic television sets. The younger ones had Beatrix Potter with Mr. Todd, the Dirty Rotter, and Squirrel Nutkin, Pigling Bland, and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and just how the camel got his hump, and how the monkey lost its rump. So all these are again the narratives of the children. So these are simple, realistic stories. It creates your imagination, it helps you to grow, it makes you more creative, it helps you to imagine, it transforms you into a different world when you have to escape the harsh reality. It transforms into a different world altogether, into a different realm altogether. But what does these stupid television sets do? It is, though it is not strictly or explicitly stated here, it is implicit when Roald Dahl is literally listing all these lines. It is all implicit here that what has the television sets done? And Mr. Toad, and bless my soul, there's Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. Oh, books, what books they used to know, those children living long ago. So please, oh please, we beg, we pray, go throw your TV set away, and in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. So this is the main justification. This is the part that you should all remember and keep in mind, and you can mark it also. This is extremely important.